right, a self-defense event happens in seconds. In the time it takes to listen to this commercial, your life could change forever. I pray you're never forced to shoot in self-defense. But if you must, then you must be ready. That's why USCCA exists, because every responsibly armed American should have the training and education to navigate a self-defense situation. And should you ever need it, the 24/7 critical response team is right there for you. To discover more about USCCA, visit uscca.com/GOR and act now, because the life you save could be your own. That's uscca.com/GOR.
We got donut holes floating around the studio. We're not allowed to do that, are we?
See all the paperwork this lady's doing over here?
Oh, well, that's Mary. You know Mary. She's as thorough. And
have you ever seen that much paperwork? We don't even have that much paperwork.
She knows more than anybody in the county. That's why we're having her on today.
Holy moly. So I guess we're going to have to behave.
Well,
as much as possible.
Please try.
All right.
Hey, so tomorrow night, everybody. Tomorrow night, last call. San Diego County Gun Owners is having their Christmas party at the Valley High. Doors open at 5:30. It's free. You don't have to RSVP. Just come on down, park for free, and come on in. And
what time?
The doors open at 5:30. So don't show up before 5:30.
Well, you can, but it's just not going to do it.
You're just going to be looking at a closed door. There'll be all kinds of fun, hors d'oeuvres and appetizers, and then there's you can purchase drinks and raffles. We'll have some really cool things to some prizes. In fact, we're up to 3 guns. We have a Tavor, a 300 blackout Tavor you could win, a 9mm Taurus G3. And I don't remember the third one. And then there's like a $250 bottle of San Diego County Gun Owners branded bourbon. How cool is that?
Do you need any more giveaways?
Sure.
Because I've got, it's a rifle that stands this tall.
Yeah.
And it's full of tequila.
You just have that?
Well, it was given to me as a gift.
Bring her on down. That's cool.
I've got another bottle of, I don't know if it's bourbon or whiskey. I'm not a bourbon or whiskey guy. No. It was given to me as a gift, which I don't drink it.
Bring it on down.
Supposedly, it's supposed to be really good.
Yeah.
So if you want those for raffle prizes,
that'd
I'll
be
bring
great.
them.
That'd be awesome. That's super generous, Dave.
I just can't invite the guy that gave them to me.
I had a friend of mine went. Why? Wait a minute.
Because if he shows up, he says, didn't I give those to you?
Hopefully he's not a listener.
Oh my gosh, I don't care. I'm still going to donate them.
Because
I know I'm going to kick that rifle over full of tequila.
Yeah.
I know I'm going to one of these days.
I had a friend that went to Russia, and he brought back some Russian vodka in a bottle that was shaped like a gun. And so I drank it all and got rid of the bottle. He got so mad at me. He's like, "How did you get rid of that bottle?" I'm like, "I don't know. Well, I didn't drink it all at once. I mean,
well, it doesn't make a difference. Well,
like
you must have if you got rid of the bottle."
But he's like, why did you throw away the bottle? I'm like, I don't know. It was empty. What do you do with it anyway?
Yeah, that's the way you have to think with your new vehicle.
Yeah.
You can't keep nothing.
That's right. So, all right. So we're going to, Alicia, how's it going?
Really, really well.
Fantastic.
Really busy. Yep.
Thank you so much for helping out with the shooting social yesterday.
And another one this morning.
And another one this morning. How'd that go?
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Talk about this morning was the Guns N' Moses, right?
Correct. Guns N' Moses. So the Guns N' Moses, if for anybody who's not familiar, it's a Jewish shooting group. And some of them are very orthodox, some of them are not. Mm-hmm. And it is, if any of you out there or have ever considered being a mentor, male or female, it would be great, because they often do have divisions to where they have people that want to shoot that need a certain gender mentor to work with.
From my understanding is the Orthodox women cannot have physical contact with anybody other than a woman.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And I've had it work the other way as well, where I was paired with a man that I wasn't able to work with.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So it was great that I was there. There was a young lady that I worked really well with. I believe she was 9, and I think Jackson should give you a run for your money.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sounds like a challenge.
I'd like to meet her.
Attaboy.
So we didn't have a whole lot of...
We should bring her to the Christmas party.
Oh, that would be cute.
Yeah.
So she was the rabbi's niece. So I bet Alex could get a hold of her.
She might not be going to a Christmas party then.
That's true.
Actually, I mean...
I don't know.
We say that. Everybody's invited.
It's a holiday party. There you go.
Well,
it's a holiday party.
Right.
It's actually, I would call it a Christmas party, but I've gone to.
Do we have to bring presents?
No,
Then it's not a Christmas party.
we want your presence,
It's
but
a holiday.
PRESENCE.
Don't look at me. I can't
Presence.
spell.
Yeah. Anyway, that joke didn't work at all.
I know, not at all. I got one girl in the back to laugh.
Well, Alicia, thank you so much for helping. You helped with both the one at Discount Gun Mart on Saturday, which was the BIPOC Shooting Social,
Correct.
and that went really, really well, although it was cold.
Well, this morning in Poway at 7:30, bring your parka.
Oh, really?
When they get those ventilation systems, whatever the temperature is outside, you get that amplified inside.
Yeah.
It was cold.
Everybody had a good time?
Great time.
Desi ran it well?
She did.
Awesome. I was hanging out with
Hot Rod.
Handsome Dave over there at the KUSI studio.
And
talking
he was
about the
pitching, not me, SD. He was my backup.
There you go.
Yeah, she I guess she's already worked with somebody. What was she a guest as well, or what was she?
She was part of the community center for the car giveaway that we did.
You guys gave away a car?
Yeah, the
The
Durango.
Durango?
Yeah, well, what it is, she
Well, I know
works
that.
with.
He said that like, yeah,
Hey,
Durango. We were talking about it off air. I'm trying to.
Oh, I see.
We're
You're
on a
trying to do
radio
a show.
Yeah.
She works with Mr. G, who won the car.
Oh, cool.
He did in fact, she was the one that nominated him.
Oh, nice.
Because of all the work he's done for charity and families, and never takes a dime. And
Well, that was cool, you guys.
then his
to,
vehicle blew up. Well, it was Napa. It was 12 Napa centers that all chip in, because a lot of times customers' cars will break, the tranny will go bad, the engine will go bad, and they'll just bring you the pink slip and say, look, I don't want to pay the diagnosis, and I don't want to pay the tear down. Here's a pink slip.
Oh, that's cool.
And then they'll fix the car, the individual shops, and they just sell them. So then John came up
you
with
said
this idea.
they like replaced everything. I think the only original thing left was like the windshield and the steering wheel.
Pretty
right?
much. I mean
replaced
there was even a
everything.
dent in the back hatch. They took the dents out of it. If you looked at it, it looked like it was almost brand new.
I have a dent on my Jeep that I
you
got.
dents all over your Jeep.
Well,
Hey, how's your turn signals?
they still don't work.
Okay,
Which, by the way, turn signals don't work. I fit in.
Perfectly.
I've never felt so welcomed.
They're just a suggestion in San Diego County.
Yeah,
turn signals mean you're from out of town.
I've lived here since 1997, almost my entire adult life, and I think this weekend is when I actually officially became a San Diegan by not having access to turn signals. I feel like I'm now part of the family, like for the first time in
It
however
took
many
you
years.
long enough.
Yeah, so I've been welcomed.
Yeah,
I tried the thing where when I was a Boy Scout, I learned the left. You take
That's
a
left. What's right?
left, and then right is this.
Okay.
Well, this
You can't do the fist.
you can't do the fist.
No.
And you can't just because it looks like you're.
And you
just,
can't do the middle finger.
So I just go. It's
well, that thing
Jeep.
is so fast anyway.
Yeah, well,
It is a Jeep. It's got big tires and
laughing.
wheels.
But I have one dent on the hood on the driver's side. I got it like 5 minutes after I bought the Jeep.
And
a friend of mine
stare at it every day.
Well, a friend of mine was like, "Oh, this is cool," and then he sat on my hood. Boom! So it's the perfect shape of this guy's butt. Yeah, on my. I'm like, oh,
Why
man.
don't you just
sign
pop it out?
Every once in a while, I've thought about it, but now it's a part of the Jeep.
Why don't you pop it out?
It's a part of the Jeep. Mary's shaking her head. She knows.
Yeah.
And Mary's here. She's going to talk about. We're talking about the listening sessions, right?
Oh yeah, the gun violence listening sessions that are supposed to be two-sided.
Mary is
They're really three-sided.
she's a county board of supervisor pit bull. Is that what we can call it? Is that your official title?
Watchdog and constitutional referee.
So when
Bam.
they see you come in the room, they shudder, right?
Or roll their eyes.
I like the shudder.
Did you know that AR and AR-15 does not stand for assault rifle?
What?
It actually, I know.
What?
I know far too many people don't understand. It actually stands for Armalite rifle, which is the original manufacturer of the most popular rifle in America. Stephen Halbrook thinks that it should be America's rifle and wrote a book about it. Stephen Halbrook is up next.
Oh, America's rifle. Makes sense. Hey, if you have legal matters that involve firearms, then you need to call California firearms lawyer John Dillon. If you have questions about red flag laws, gun registration, gun transportation, or maybe you just need to know that your guns are California compliant, call our trusted firearms attorney, John Dillon. John Dillon specializes in California gun laws, 760-642-7150, or you can visit his website at DillonLawGP.com.
So our next guest is one of my favorite authors. I found him years ago when he wrote a book. It's basically the history of the Second Amendment, which I I feel is pretty much the definitive book when it comes to the history of the Second Amendment, called The Founder's Second Amendment. His name's Stephen Halbrook, extremely intelligent, interesting guy. We've had him on the show before. We're having him back because he's got another book out. Stephen, how are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Fantastic. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Always my pleasure.
So I'll tell you what, let's just talk about why you think, let's jump right into it. Why should it be called America's rifle?
Well, the AR-15, and that's become a generic term now, of course. There's a lot of varieties, but it's the most popular rifle sold today. I think it's estimated at this point, if we ask about, we do surveys and we ask about AR-15s or similar type rifles, and so I'm going to include the ones that some people like to ban. So all your California non-compliant rifles. I think it's 44 million, something like that.
There are 44. So we think, best estimations, there are 44 million AR pattern rifles in America today.
Well, let's say semi-automatic rifles with features that gun banners don't like.
Okay, all right.
Because when you ask a survey like that, it's got to be very general. And so I think the purpose of these kinds of surveys is to identify how many gun owners have guns that people who want to ban guns, the types of guns. So I would include AKs maybe, but I really don't know. I mean, because it's in the perception of the people answering these surveys. But
yeah, that makes sense.
They're not going to know one from another.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. And certainly the antis don't know one from the other. All they know is got that evil, wicked, mean, and nasty, conspicuously protruding pistol grip.
I like that.
Well, not only that, but the other problem is us gun folk, we split hairs. Like, we get way down into the weeds. So,
Right.
Well, it's not technically an AR because, so I mean, yeah, I could see that there probably needs to be a whole agreed upon language set before we can get really, really accurate numbers. Still, 44 million semi-automatic rifles that's significant, right?
Right, and that doesn't include just your 1022 or just all the other semi-auto rifles. I mean, it's the ones with features that seem to be typical when people think of an AR-15, and there's a lot of gun owners who don't know much about it either. And of course, that was the Colt name. I mean, originally the M16 was called the AR-15, and then it became M16, and Colt in 1964 brought out the Colt AR-15 Sporter, and it's been in production ever since by many other manufacturers. And then, of course, the trademark AR-15 expired a long time ago. But we're kind of like gun people splitting hairs.
Right.
Here's what I would pose, since you're Californians. The conspicuously protruding pistol grip is defined in the California regulations
Right.
As allowing the hand to grasp the handle or the grip. And so they make it to be compliant. You cannot hold the grip all the way around, but if you have this fin block in place where it looks like you're hitchhiking, your thumb is in the up position, then that's legal.
That's
now think
legal.
about the Second Amendment. Are you trying to tell me that the Second Amendment protects a rifle if your thumb is pointed up, but it doesn't protect the rifle if your thumb is horizontal in grasping the handle? I mean, please. And we've had one court after another uphold these stupid laws, the Ninth Circuit, the First Circuit, Second Circuit. And at this point, the Supreme Court decided the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association versus Bruin case in June, and that invalidated the nanny states' may issue handgun carry laws. But the court also had been holding one so-called assault weapon case and two magazine cases, and told the lower courts to get it right and to redo those cases. So the assault weapon case, so-called, was out of Maryland, and they just had oral argument. I mean, the Supreme Court said in the Bruin case Is it under the text of the Second Amendment? Well, yeah, it's an arm, the right of the people to keep and bear arms. These rifles are arms. And so you've got to find something at our founding period where something that at least equivalent to, they banned guns like this, or they did something that was so close to the modern restriction. And of course, there is none. These lower courts have been upholding these laws based on some kind of balancing test where the Second Amendment always loses and the government interest always wins. And so we've got one of the magazine cases from California, another one from New Jersey.
Yep.
And the Supreme Court told these lower courts, look, you didn't do it right. Let's try this again. And I fully expect these lower courts to try to obstruct again, just like they did after Heller was decided. But we'll see what happens. I mean, I think at some point the Supreme Court's going to take on this issue.
Wow, of the assault. So our case is the Miller case. That's San Diego County Gun Owners. That's our case. That's the one we got a favorable ruling, and then that's the one that they're going to revisit.
Right. That was sent back down to District Judge Benitez.
Yeah.
And they had a hearing on Monday.
Right. And we know how he's going to, we know. In fact, I mean, Stephen, I know you read the decision. His original decision was almost cut and paste on what ended up being the Bruin decision. So we know it's going to go in our favor. You think the Ninth Circuit, they're going to push back, or you think they'll comply?
Well, look what they did when that case first went up to the Ninth Circuit. You had a 3-judge panel. The good guys won 2-1, but then it went en banc. And every case that goes before the Ninth Circuit, if the panel decision wins, the en banc court will overturn it. And there's apparently 52 cases or so, by one of the judges' counts. Every one of them, the Second Amendment loses. Cases that have been before that court, either the full court en banc or just a panel decision. But it's an en banc. It's like an automatic en banc rule if the panel gets it right. So, I'm looking for them to try to obstruct some more.
Wow. So what would that look like? They'd appeal it, or they'd delay it, or what do you think that'd look like?
Well, so what's going to happen? The Supreme Court in Bruin said if it's within the words of the Second Amendment, the text, then the burden is on the government to try to prove by historical examples from the founding period or shortly thereafter something like that same kind of restriction. And so just to use the Bruin case for an example, it's about the right to carry, and it's always been the rule that the courts could restrict gun carrying in their courts. I mean, that goes back for centuries. So there's not a problem. That's the so-called sensitive place. And so if you take that reason and let's apply it to this case, like, can you find me a historic example kind of like that where they banned any type of gun? Hey, I'm going to tell you something. They didn't ban any guns. They didn't ban cannon in those days even. Now, according to the Supreme Court, Heller, if a gun is commonly possessed or typically used for self-defense, then it's protected. Okay, so you can argue cannon aren't protected, even though they could be sold legally at the founding. But rifles, pistols, and shotguns, I mean, hello.
Yeah, really.
These are commonly possessed. They passed the test. And I got another thing to inform Joe Biden, because he thought cannons were banned. You can still own a cannon today. It just has to be registered with the ATF. So they were not even restricted at the federal level until 1968.
Well, did you notice in this latest round, in the last few weeks, this latest round of, hey, we want to ban guns, the terminology was they were staying away from assault weapon. They were staying away from weapons of war. They're just going with semi-automatic now. That's, I can't believe we have these semi-automatic guns, and, no one needs a semi-automatic gun. And that's the term, which is accurate, but man, I don't think they realize, 80% of pistols, rifles sold today are probably semi-automatic, and that's what they're talking about banning now?
Right, and they've always been after that goal, but there were too many of them to ban. That's why the federal ban from '94 did not ban the Ruger Mini 14. There were too many people who had them, but they figured they could get away with banning rifles like the AK series or like the AR-15 because not as many people had them. But at this point, I mean, they've always wanted to ban semi-autos. In fact, this is not a ban, but it's a restriction. In the state of Oregon, they simply took the definition of semi-automatic rifle and they inserted the word assault. They took a perfectly normal definition for semi-automatic, and then they introduced the word assault. And what is that? What the hell does that add to it? It's just a derogatory term.
All right, Orange County Gun Owners is dedicated to preserving and restoring Orange County self-defense rights. If you live in Orange County and want to help defend and restore the Second Amendment, join. OCGunowners.com/join. Orange County Gun Owners is more than supporting the lawsuits by the Second Amendment. They have developed an effective infrastructure that focuses on local outreach and activism. Volunteer at a shooting social, at a gun shop, and tabletop, and help more pro-gun local officials get elected. Become a member today. OCGunowners.com/join. All right, we got Stephen Halbrook back with us, author of America's Rifle, trying to educate the masses that an AR is not an assault rifle.
So talk to us about the book. What are you? What is the hope? What is the message you'd like to get out about the book? What are you looking to accomplish with the book?
Well, I'm hoping to help educate the American public, but also more particularly lawyers, judges, people who are doing litigation on the subject, because there's a number of things going on. First of all, I got involved with this topic right when it started. In 1989, California passed the first state ban, and we litigated a case called Fresno Rifle and Pistol Club versus Vandy Camp, and the Ninth Circuit said the Second Amendment doesn't apply in our state. Okay, and so eventually the Supreme Court resolved that in the Chicago case from 2010, McDonald. And but I wanted to trace the whole history of this, because what were we up against in those days before the Heller decision? And it was just a complete denial of the Second Amendment had any value, whatever, or any meaning. But then we go up in two different phases, and what the book does after going through that initial phase, which talks about how that term assault weapon was invented as a propaganda term by the Violence Policy Center. They said, well, people will be confused because these AR-15s look like M16, so we'll just, use that kind of illogical reasoning to try to mix people up, and they think they're full auto, and they think they think if you shoot a pumpkin, it'll blow it up, and all these things they used to show. You remember what they used to do on television.
Right.
And so, but then the book goes into the text of the Second Amendment and the Supreme Court decisions, and then way back in history to the English forefathers who there was always a struggle between the monarchy and the freedom of the people, and eventually they had a Declaration of Rights in 1689, but then when our country started to be founded, our colonists came here and they expanded on those rights. We go through a lot of different periods of history, and what's incredible, of course, the Supreme Court said for the meaning of the Second Amendment says, look at the period of when the Second Amendment was adopted and shortly thereafter, and let's look at what the founders had in mind. But if we go through even years after that, we have the development of, let's say, the Winchester rifle with multi-shot. You can fire them fast. At the same time, we have new states coming into the Union. They're all declaring the right to bear arms in their constitutions.
Yeah.
Like, don't tell me they didn't have in mind Winchester rifles. And then we get to the 20th century, and we have repeating semi-automatic rifles with detachable magazines. And we never had a single state ban any of those, basically until 1989. And at this point in history, we only have 7 states. I mean, these are still outliers, although unfortunately some of these are large populated states. But if you look at American history, even in the 20th century, when they passed the National Firearms Act, the proponents of that understood that you couldn't just ban guns. And so they restricted certain guns like machine guns, and they said you have to register them. But it was not until the federal ban in 1994 that they restricted ordinary semi-automatic rifles.
Right.
And then on the other side of their mouth, we have the civilian marksmanship program where they're still selling M1 Garands.
Yeah, you can get a Garand delivered to your front doorstep. Right,
like the greatest battle rifle ever invented. And so, and even Congress, as many restrictions and as many bad things, intrusions on the Second Amendment as they've done, the only time that they ever banned a large number of rifles or ordinary firearms was the so-called assault weapon ban, and even that expired. And so when you look at the overall picture, this is no way any part of American history and tradition to do this. And so we have these, we had only 6 of the states that had bans. And then the week after Bruin was decided, the governor of Delaware thought, well, he didn't read the decision. He didn't get the memo, obviously. So he signed their assault weapon ban into law. So now we have 7 states. And of course, they're superficial. They can't even make up their minds in terms of their definitions. And anyway, I've got a lot of this in the book, and
it sounds excellent. Yeah. I have a question for you. Okay. So the case in I want to say it was the late 30s, and I think it was also called the Miller case, where that's when they decided that you could ban short barrel shotguns, right?
Well, they didn't even say that. They said, we don't have anything in the judicial record in this case that it was a militia weapon.
Right.
And they had the idea that if it's a militia weapon, then the National Firearms Act might be invalid as applied to that. But remember, the short barrel shotgun was required to be registered and you had to pay a tax, but it was not banned.
Right.
They've never said
correct.
that you can just ban them.
You're right. Correct. You're absolutely right. But in essence, in very layman terms, weren't they basically saying that if the firearm doesn't have a military use, then you can highly regulate or ban it?
They seem to have suggested that, but it was more in the negative, that if it was a militia-type weapon, ordinary military ordnance, then there would be a problem with the National Firearms Act. I mean, if it was some other gun that didn't meet that, then you'd have to litigate it and see what the story was with it. But because there were a number of state judicial decisions saying that militia weapons were the highest protected under the Second Amendment, because you've got the militia duty, this is defense of the country, defense from tyranny. And the whole controversy up until 1989 was about handguns, basically, in terms of like the anti-gun movement. That's all they cared about. They said
ban handguns,
little guns bad and long guns good. Then all of a sudden they flipped. So, all of a sudden rifles are bad.
So do you think now, of course, with the Bruin decision, it's kind of, it doesn't matter. But I used to make the case, and I'm curious what your opinion is on this. I used to make the case that it was a mistake for us to describe AR pattern rifles or anything close to an AR rifle as less than something you would use in military use. They'd say, oh, no, it's a sporting rifle. Oh, no, a 5.56 caliber isn't really that powerful. Oh, no. We'd never use a semi-automatic rifle, for in the military. I used to make the case that was a mistake, because if you can't use it for military or militia use, then that's actually a case for being able to heavily regulate or ban it. That if it's just simply for sporting or just simply a collector's item, then it's not protected as much by the Second Amendment. What do you think about that case? What do you think about the argument I was making?
Well, I can see it both ways, and here's the way I look at it. A single-shot Chipmunk 22 bolt action has militia uses. You got to start somewhere. And anything you can do to enhance the ability of the people to keep and bear arms and for self-defense, for hunting, for recreation, for militia, for defense against tyranny. That's why all of these guns are protected. And with the AR-15, it's got maybe some extra protection because how many people know how to use the charging handle to get the cartridge into the chamber? I mean, people brought up on other types of actions or bolt actions, just as an example. I mean, it does look like kind of a mystery at first. And it was only when for me, it was not until the M16, I'm getting older, that was a very novel way to charge a rifle, was to have that charging handle. I mean, your Mini 14 was completely different. Most semi-autos were different than that. So I think some things like that and learning to use the sights, I think that enhances national defense. That's why, in fact, the Civilian Marksmanship Program sponsors matches where they encourage this kind of rifle. And one reason is to introduce people to military rifles. The big difference, of course, is that they're not full auto, and that's why the idea that they're only good for military purposes. I mean, no military in the world issues that as just a semi-automatic as a standard service rifle.
So let me ask you. I'm looking forward to. I haven't read your book yet. I'm looking forward to it, and I can't wait. Again, you're the Founder's Second Amendment. That book is one of my. I tell everybody to read it. I truly think everybody should read it. Everybody. It's fantastic. So I'm really looking forward to it. But stepping away from the legal, the explanations, etc. Just you personally, why is this important to you? Why why is writing this book and winning this battle and getting this information out to you personally? Why is it important?
Well, because I'm an American, and the Bill of Rights protects our rights, and the Second Amendment has a very specific purpose. When all else fails, if free speech doesn't get you there, and if the normal Constitution is overturned, I mean, our forefathers fought a revolution to overthrow tyranny, and so we have principles of liberty that many of us were brought up to believe in, and we value our Constitution and our Bill of Rights. This is a fight worth fighting. There's so many people, lawyers and academics, who talk about the First Amendment, although it's getting unpopular nowadays. In the last few years, the First Amendment is no longer popular on campuses. But
well, plus you wanted to be on Gun Owners Radio too.
That's why I wrote the book.
That was the main reason.
Steve, where do we find the book? Where do people? What's the name of the book, and where should people go to buy it?
America's Rifle, the page for the R-15. You can get it on Amazon, or you can get it any other way. It's on Kindle and paperback.
America's Rifle, the case for the AR-15. You can get it on Amazon or wherever fine books are
won't
sold.
Find it at the airport.
Probably not.
Just thought I'd throw that out there. Hey, it's great talking to you. Can't wait till you bring out your next book.
Okay, guys. Good to talk to you again.
All right,
Take
Merry
care.
Christmas.
Thank you.
Hey, did you know we have a world-class flight training school here in San Diego? Pilots can fly almost every day. We're super close to the ocean, the desert, the mountains. It's awesome. And that's why San Diego is one of the best places to learn how to fly in the world. Learn to fly in sunny San Diego right at Montgomery Field. Getting started is super easy. Call them at 858-569-1822. Learn to fly at San Diego FTI, and they will help you out. Or just call them at 858-569-1822. All right. We got Heather Hawke on the line, hopefully. Heather, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Sure can. Orange County Gun Owners Christmas Party recap. Tell us, what'd you win?
Well, I didn't win anything. I was giving it away.
Oh, man. Did Mike win
I
anything?
know.
Because he's been pouting.
I didn't win it.
I knew it.
I never
knew
win
it.
anything.
He's pouting. He's been pouting all night.
Oh, well, it was a good time. We had up here. We had about a little over 50 people show up for our party.
Wow.
And we even had an Inland Empire member come at a very, very strange, just coincidence. He was at a party at the same place, so and he was a Santa. So.
Yeah, he's dressed as Santa. I'm walking in.
Yeah.
He walks up to me. I was like, "Oh, hey, how's it going?" He goes, "Are you doing some kind of gun thing here or something?" I was like, "Well, yeah, it's the Orange County Christmas party." And he goes, "Oh, well, wow, what a coincidence."
So did
And
you
I
have to
was
take your Christmas suit off?
like, Yeah. Well, he was wearing his Santa suit. He was
Well, that's
literally
what I
dressed
said.
like
Did
a
you have
Santa.
to take yours off?
No.
Can't have two.
Mine's permanent. But anyway, he was so happy. He was like, "Oh, this is great." But I was like, "Oh, is this totally a coincidence?" He said, "Yeah, it was awesome." So we had a Santa. We actually had two Santas, didn't we, Heather?
Two Santas, yeah. Mark Graves is one of our board members. He is also a Santa as well.
You know, you might want to think about that as a side job. They're spending a lot of money on Santas this year.
Being a Santa.
Yeah, believe it or not. Seriously, like $7,000.
Look at you. Look who's talking. You should. You.
Well, you see, I got the beard. I'm
There
working
you go.
on it.
Yeah.
Next year,
you
I'm
should
there.
Be more Santa.
I'll be your elf.
You're Santa.
I'll be your elf.
Good Lord.
Dave in little leggings and bells on his shoes.
Sounds like
Like
a disaster.
leotards.
$7,000 for a Santa.
Yeah. Wait, I think I'm growing my beard.
Seems high.
Up.
So you all got in the wrong business here.
Yeah, really. So it was that. What was the location? It was beautiful.
Yeah, it was Taps Brewery and Barrel Room in Tustin off of Red Hill. Beautiful brewery. It's an actual working brewery, so they have really nice patio outside for outdoor activities with heaters and everything for the winter. And then they have the really nice tasting room that has a beautiful bar in it. And then in the back is their barrel room. So they've got all the aged, the brews, the barrels back in there. And they have parties back in that room. So that's where I saw it. And it was a beautiful, perfect place to have a Christmas party. So
Yeah. Big shout out to Vanessa and Jana, right? Is that who helped us out?
yes.
They both.
Yep, Vanessa and Jana.
They were super helpful. They were wonderful. The food was good. The people
were
were
there?
happy. I was there. Yeah, I was there. Yeah. So. What'd you like about it, Heather? What went well? What was some of the feedback you got?
Well, everyone seemed to. I actually had no complaints that I heard, which is awesome. But everyone seemed to really enjoy, the food, the drinks, the company and the camaraderie too. But we had some fun little game breaks. We had an ugly sweater competition. We had to have, I think it was like 10 people that really got into that. So that was a lot of fun. And then we also did a white elephant. I did a little different play on that, where instead of drawing numbers and doing the steals, we were all in a circle. And I read The Night Before Christmas, and every time you say the word "the," you have to pass to your right. So you have no idea what you're going to get, but whatever you get stuck with at the end is what you get. So
You catch that, Super Dave?
So, yeah, I did. I lost that game. But it seems to me, doesn't it?
There's no way to lose.
Yeah, you can.
All right.
But doesn't it look, then wouldn't you kind of agree? I mean, I know you probably want to get a big, massive party, like hundreds and hundreds of people. But isn't that intimacy of a smaller group kind of cool?
yeah, it's a lot of fun. You just see people that maybe some people you haven't seen, and kind of chat. We had it broken into tables of 6 throughout, so people could sit and chat a little bit. And then there were also some standing bar tables in the middle, so you could get up and talk. And everybody was kind of moving around the room, just catching up. So it was really nice to have. And I mean, the room was perfect size for that kind of size of group. So.
Because
It
you're
turned out
going
really
to
well.
grow. You're going to grow. I mean, that's what happened
Yes.
with Michael and the San Diego County gun owners. He started off nice and intimate and small. Now he needs a golf cart.
That's just because I'm lazy.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Yeah,
Hey, Heather, I got a question for you.
Uh-oh.
sure.
Hold on a second.
I might have an answer.
Action
Oh,
Jackson's-
here it comes.
Action Jackson's got a question for you. What's your question, Action Jackson?
What's your favorite gun?
Good question. Good question.
Ooh, that's so. I gotta pick just one.
That's what everybody
That's what
says.
everybody says.
Yes.
No, it's so hard.
You guys must have met at the tap house.
I guess my favorite, is my Springfield 1911 45 Marine Corps operator. I
Oh.
love that gun.
The MC. Very
Girl,
nice.
serious.
It is
That's
super
my
nice.
nightstand gun.
I'm not I don't own a 1911.
Not yet.
I'm not. I don't dislike them, but I'm not a huge fan. I don't. But they're the MC. I was looking at that, and then the TRP, both very similar, but both very, very good guns. That's awesome. What made you get the? What made you get that?
My first gun I ever got was their 1911, and it was the 9mm, and I love it too. But then I went and I shot a 45 1911, and I don't know. For me, it's a big, nice, heavy gun, and it just you point it and it shoots and it goes where you want it. And it felt great in my hand. And I was looking at the TRP too, and I kind of went back and forth, but I just liked the design and the look. I mean, they're similar, but I just liked the look of their Marine Corps operator. And it's the California compliant one's a little bit different than the current one, but it's got that green to it, and it's just, I don't know. There's something about it.
All right. Did you get all that action, Jackson?
I sure did.
What do you think? Is that a good choice?
You want one now, right?
Actually, kind of.
Okay, under the tree.
Okay, next time we're down there, we'll all go shooting. I'll bring it so you can shoot it.
Woo!
Yeah, you don't want to. You don't want to embarrass.
They're actually 1911s are actually.
Kid's good.
He shoots a Glock. 1911s are actually good for little Action Jackson hands because it's a single stack. You can grip it. You might like it.
You think so,
Jackson?
Action?
Actually, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Upon further analysis,
yes. After
it went from yes to actually yes.
Yes to really yes.
Well, Heather, that's awesome. You did a great job. I thought that party was fun. I thought that it was very gun owners, but then it had a big dose of Heather because Heather's got a ton of personality, and I loved the white elephant gift exchange and then the play on that.
Did you win?
No, I didn't win it. That's why I didn't win anything. It was all very, very cool. Congratulations on this is your first Christmas party.
When's the next one?
Easter.
Let's see. We'll have an un-Christmas party or something. We did forget to talk about the raffle too. We had a big raffle at the end. We had a lot of good donors too. We had a 1-year membership to FT3 in Stanton, California.
Nice.
A 1-year membership to On Target in Laguna Niguel. So there's two gun ranges in Orange County. We had a lot of training, which I really love. We had Apex Defense donated.
Yep.
Yeah. We had Firearms Training Associates in Yorba Linda and Corona. They donated 4 different trainings, and they were for 2 people. Artemis Defense in Lake Forest, they also donated 2 1-hour privates for 2 people. Armstrong Arms, too, in Gunsmith. They did a gun cleaning and also a site installation. And then our Santa Marcos Graves donated some ammo, and the Mills family also donated a beautiful cornhole game that was made with a custom American flag on it. So
I love
and
this.
the odds to win are excellent. And you didn't win.
I didn't win anything.
You didn't buy any tickets.
You have to buy raffle tickets.
Did you buy a
I found
raffle
out.
ticket?
No way.
Up at you. What do you mean?
I love that Santa brought ammo. That's so.
Well, of course. What else you want under the tree?
Well, that's awesome, Heather. Congratulations. Looking forward to Orange County.
2 minutes.
Blowing it
party.
away in 2023. You signed up some members last night too. You're doing a fantastic job. So proud of you guys. Thanks for coming on the show, and we'll talk to you soon. Okay. Well, actually, you're coming to San Diego's Christmas party tomorrow, right?
Yes, I will be there tomorrow night. So
Fantastic.
All
do you
right.
want me to wear my same sweater? with
Yes.
Clark Griswold on it.
Yes.
There you go.
Loved it.
All right. All right. We look forward to seeing you.
All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you for having me on.
Uh-oh.
Take care.
Hold on.
Great.
A
Hey,
second.
real quick, everybody. Thanks, Heather. Nice talking to you. Fantastic job.
yes.
Everybody listening, go to gunownersradio.com where we now have merchandise. You can get hats, shirts, I think sweaters, I don't know, Argyle socks. I don't know. There's all kinds of cool.
Argyle socks.
Yeah, oh yeah,
Cool.
with our logo on it.
Absolutely.
So you can get all kinds of merchandise if you go to gunownersradio.com. Click on the little merchandise tab and you can
Flannel underwear.
get some merchandise. But check it out. Go buy some merchandise. Go buy some Gun Owners Radio merchandise.
And come to the party tomorrow. If you get it quick enough, send Michael will autograph it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why not?
Why not?
Or Action Jackson will. He's always got a crayon in his pocket.
Will you
right
do that?
here. Yeah, you got a crayon, right?
Actually, a Sharpie.
See? He's ready for an autograph. Inland Empire Gun Owners strives to be the ounce of prevention in the fight for your gun rights. How do they do it? They do it by fundraising and getting local pro-gun candidates elected. Become a member today. Go to iegunowners.com/join and join the growing number of responsibly gun owners stepping up to defend our Second Amendment rights. That's iegunowners.com/join.
So don't forget to go to Gun Owners Radio to get merchandise, all kinds of cool stuff. Join our mail list, our email list, and get some merchandise and wear your Gun Owners Radio logo loud and proud. Also, if you sign up for our email list, you might win something.
We have a winner.
I just got a message. I see that. I just got a message that last week's winner was so excited. He was from Orange County.
Yeah.
Last week's winner was Albert Garcia. He won the drawing last week and was so excited because he said he never wins anything. We made his day.
We know
Isn't that
somebody.
nice?
We know somebody just like that.
I know. Well, it's just nice that occasionally we make somebody happy.
Yeah, it's even nicer that he responded and said thank you.
It's true.
Or is that a
Well,
reminder?
this
Is that a reminder to send the gift?
No, this was somebody who knows him, was reached out to say thanks.
He's still in
This
shock.
week's winner, I hope I say this name. I'm not going to say this name right. Is it Tisha? That looks
Yeah,
right.
Tisha
Russo. Tisha Russo. For joining the email newsletter at gunownersradio.com/subscribe. You are the Gun Owners Radio prize package winner this week. Congratulations. Fantastic job. Don't forget, tomorrow night, San Diego County Gun Owners are having a Christmas party at Valley High. Doors open at 5:30. Everyone's invited. Don't have to RSVP. Free to get in. We'll have some hors d'oeuvres for as long as they last, and then you can purchase. You like my little disclaimer there, Dave?
Yeah, get there before Mike.
That's right. That's right. No complaining. If
You
we're out of-
and Action Jackson, they'll scarf those things down like.
no coming to a free event and then complaining you
Yeah,
didn't
that
get
you're not
anything.
getting anything for free.
Anyway, we got all kinds of cool giveaways. It'll be a really good time. Really, truly hoping that everybody comes and has a good time. It's probably one of the last Christmas parties of the season, right? I mean, Christmas is like a week away, isn't it?
Yeah.
So anyway,
Can't believe it.
all right, everybody.
Well, it's with Johnny B.
He's
What is that? That's a bar over in La Mesa.
No, Johnny B's on YouTube. He was going to call in. He's not going to call in, unfortunately. We'll have to talk
And
to him another time.
isn't Mary Davis in the room with us?
Well, that's where we're going. Exactly
That's
right.
not what it says. It says call in guest.
Well,
Say go out in the hall.
Action Jackson puts against. He's the one that puts the
Does
agenda
he put
together.
the agenda?
Yes.
Action.
Sometimes I feel like
Have
he's
another
not.
donut hole. Yeah.
So he does. All right, yeah, good suggestion. Mary Davis, how are you?
I'm doing great. It was good to see you the other night.
It's most nice having you on. You've been on the show before, and you are I think we were describing you earlier as a San Diego County Board of Supervisor watchdog, which I think is I got to
need
say
it.
it's so awesome of you to do that.
Yeah.
Did you get a Christmas card from Nathan?
Not yet. I think it's in the mail. No.
I think it is.
So, what inspired you to be the thorn, the much needed thorn in their side?
I got originally involved with Reopen San Diego and monitoring, and so that's where it led. They were in charge of the health decisions and the purse strings. But the more I started monitoring and seeing, the more I thought, there's a lot of nonsense that goes on here,
There is a lot of, I
and
think that should be their motto.
Yeah, the chamber of nonsense. But so inconsistencies, and then they justify whatever they want to do. And so when I saw from your email, and I was familiar, they were going to do the listening sessions, which sounds so close to a struggle session, right? But it's a listening session. And so I thought, I got to see what's going on.
Got to go see what's going on
Yeah,
there. But before talk about some, and I got to tell you, so the makeup of the board has changed. It was 5 Republicans, I'm making air quotes, 5 Republicans for like 30 years, for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And then, and I mean it was like the same 5 for a long time. And then now it's 3 Democrats, 2 Republicans. They had term limits, which honestly that's a whole other. I'm not a big fan of term limits, but we'll move on. They had term limits. Nathan Fletcher, everybody hates that guy. He's running for state senator. But I got to tell you, it's not like it was a whole lot better a few years ago. It's just a whole lot quieter. No one really paid attention to the county board, but they weren't all that great back when it was 5 Republicans. Pam Slater Price was, I mean, it wasn't that great. I mean, some of them were good. They made some good decisions, but The county board's never really been all that great. They have a lot of power. They have a lot of money. And I think that COVID and the shutdowns kind of put them front and center.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, you're right about the money. I mean, it's over a $7 billion budget. I mean, that's a lot of money. And I would like to actually see some audits come in for these programs. Because if you just look at the state of California, how I think it was $31 billion for the Employment Development Department, that they've said that's a minimum for fraud, waste, and abuse. Some of it went into these like prison scams and everything. And
They don't do audits.
you know, if we did, and I don't, here's the issue. When you said Democrats, it's much further left than that. It's progressives. So I think we really need to start identifying them as progressive Democrats, because I think there's a lot of independents that could sway the party to move a little bit more centrist into common sense for the public good. And
Yeah, but they're getting away with it, so why move?
yeah, they are getting away
Much
with
as
it.
I hate to say
I
it.
think this will be a wake-up year about the mileage tax, because people think that like it went away. It's just hibernating right now. And that's going to be a big issue for people. They're already taking away your street parking and wanting you on bicycles. And, so now they want to start charging you a local mileage tax, a state mileage tax, and now there's even talk about a national mileage tax. And this is all under the auspices of getting you to, quote, drive less. And so that's what gets me, is like people aren't really awake as to what the real reason, because you could just charge a registration fee, right? There are many ways to get the money back.
But Mary, don't you think the amount of fuel we pay for would be a deterrent to drive slower or less?
I guess at some point, but to me, like, remember at 16, the car, that's freedom, man. I mean, the minute you got those keys, you could go where you want.
Well, my fuel bill last month for me and my wife was $9.72.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if I can cut that in half, you don't need to tax my mileage. I would do it if I didn't have things that I have to do. So all they're doing is penalizing you. They're not helping.
No, they're not helping. And so that part of the, how are they going to tax us too? So,
Well, how are they going to regulate it? Are they going to come and put a meter on your car?
that's the thing. It's always some nebulous to be determined,
You want
right?
to borrow
And
a Rottweiler that will put it in your car when they come to go to put it in there? Guarantee it won't happen.
they were looking at what they call smog checks, or self-reporting, but it's actually they call it smart telemetry, and so that they would actually possibly put a tracker in your car or have it,
You know another way they do it? My insurance company, and I have the best agent on the planet. She is an absolute sweetheart. She sends me a text. She goes, hey, the 68 Plymouth wagon that's sitting in your front driveway? Well, the state has decided that you went 10,000 miles last year. I said, I haven't even started it. So they're actually putting mileage into your insurance policy without you knowing about it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't say or do something
or speak up.
your rates will go up, and they'll use that as a gauge.
Wow, that's interesting. Yeah, because what some of the people too, I hope they get a little bit smarter, because some things that are done for our convenience frequently are really for somebody else's benefit.
Yes.
So you're talking about, get that 5% discount on your insurance. Just put this app on your phone. We'll start tracking you.
Oh, and they'll give you $50.
Yeah, or some
I was
type of
so
T-shirt or
excited.
something. Yeah, and so it's interesting that people don't realize those apps aren't really for your benefit. They're for the industry, and you're just kind of being played for a sucker. To put it
So
nicely.
to be a watchdog, because all this, I mean, people don't know this is going on. They don't know
No.
about the mileage tax. They didn't, the listening sessions, all this other stuff. You know about it. When we get back, I want to talk to you about, how much time do you spend? Like, what do you do to stay connected with the county board? Okay.
Okay, terrific.
And how difficult is it to stay connected?
It's so easy that Alicia can do it with me next time.
Whoa, right on. Two blondes in the same job. I'm looking forward to that. Hey, a lot of companies are really unhappy with their websites. They look old, they're out of date, and they just aren't getting any customers. Have I got a fix for you? Sage Tree gets it. Since 2005, Sage Tree has been helping companies with websites that look great, work great, and get leads. Stop being frustrated by your website and get one that you're proud to share. Contact Sage Tree today to get a website that makes the phone ring. Getting started is super easy. Call 866-728-9100, 866-728-9100, and fix your website today. Was that your choice of songs?
No, it's like some rock and roll Christmas
Yeah, I know.
I like it.
situation.
I like it too.
Yeah.
Thank you. I thought for the holiday season.
job, Brendan.
It's very nice, Brendan.
My ears are bleeding.
It's better than.
Oh, are you kidding me?
Stop it. Hey, and quit blowing your nose.
Who invited the Grinch on the show today?
I'm getting ready for next Sunday.
Don't worry. At the end of the remember, at the end of the story, his heart grows like 10 times as much. So I believe in you, Dave.
I think tonight Dave's going to get visited by 3 ghosts.
Yeah, I got a sneaky feeling. Are you kidding? Don't even say that.
Maybe those ghosts are friendly, maybe not, or maybe they're Grinchy like the Grinch.
You like the Grinch?
Yes.
I do too.
Which version?
I'm going to get a T-shirt with a great big Grinch guy.
Is it gonna have Max on it?
Nope, just a Grinch. You want one?
Maybe.
What do you wear? A size 2 small?
What was it? Men's small.
Men's small? You can't get into a men's. You're in a men's. That's like a car cover. If I order one, I'll get you one too. Oh, and then we'll get Mike one.
I wear a men's medium.
Yes, you do. Extra
medium.
medium. Yeah.
All right, so we're talking to Mary. Mary, we were talking about that. What a great job you're doing.
It doesn't say we're talking to her anymore.
On what's that? I know. We're skipping that. So we're doing a great job with the county board, and you're keeping an eye on the county board, which is awesome. And I know, like, this is just, you're just doing it. You're not getting paid to do this. This isn't your job. You're just doing this because you care.
And are you by yourself doing this, or do you have a team?
I'm pretty much by myself, but it's like this breadcrumb trail. Like when you notice one thing and then it takes you down to another. So now I'm actually even expanded and I'm going to Sandag. And then also I've started dipping into La Mesa and a couple of other places because I see the changes that are coming and I'm trying to alert and wake up the citizens of what's coming their way, whether infill, removal of parking. And my issue is they keep always using the term about regressive. Oh, well, we need the mileage tax because anything else is regressive. And what they don't realize is their infill development is regressive because you don't see the people in Rancho Santa Fe getting their street parking taken away or anything like that. All the negative ramifications come on the back of the masses. And so I'm trying to wake people up to that. And
how do you do that? Like, what's your routine? What do you look at? How do you follow the county board?
So they put out, you can go and find out what their calendar is, and then they will put out their agenda usually 5 days beforehand. They have to legally do it 72 hours. Yeah, so it usually comes out on Thursday, but sometimes I'll do it on a Wednesday. And then they will put like a final one on Friday, and then the meeting is on Tuesday. And that's the main meeting. And then they have and I encourage people, start paying attention to the land use meetings on Wednesday, because that's where a lot of the development decisions, like they just, Newland Sierra up in North County, they just took that away.
What is that?
Newland Sierra, it was supposed to be a big development. And that's the other thing too, these politicians, they talk out of both sides of their mouth because like they celebrate that Newland Sierra, it was a big development that was going to go up in North County, like north of Deer Springs Road. And anyway, they ended up not doing it and they lauded, oh, what a great thing for the environment. It'll reduce sprawl. Well, it's really kind of the golden door and their rich clientele. Again, the price of the masses, we won't have affordable housing, but the golden door will have a nice buffer space as habitat, which is actually a sound barrier to keep their pristine, elite. Yeah.
Wow.
So I
jerks.
And then they sit there and say, oh, we need affordable housing. Oh, good job. We're not going to build this housing.
That's like the ultimate NIMBY move right there.
And then they come to Alpine and start building low income houses without telling us.
Yeah. That was another whole thing too. And then making the project bigger because
it's like we go,
parameters.
The hell are all those roofs over there? What are they doing? And then you have to physically go dig in, and then it's too late.
Yeah, and that's the thing too is I call it death by data because people we don't know the information there. They put out like Sandag will put out these 1,000-page reports, and it's up to you to dig through it and find it. So that's just one way they operate.
So what's something you, and then I want to talk about the listening sessions because you were there and have a very unique
and she listened
and she was listened to, and I thought you did a great job. What's the most interesting find? Or not necessarily like something you dug up, but what's something you've learned, something you've discovered, something that surprised you?
They will get away with whatever we allow them to get away with, and so I go back to that October 5th, 21 with the vaccine mandate for new hires. And then I filed a Brown Act complaint and they actually had to rescind their vote and then re-vote on it but they do it just to see if anybody was
It's
paying
paying
attention.
And
Yeah,
you are.
yeah, I am paying attention, but I didn't know at first, and now I'm learning the rules as we go along. But so, for example, in La Mesa, they had an issue where a councilman was going to go on a trip, a very partisan trip, and it was going to be reimbursed. And so I asked for the policy. Where's the policy on that? Well, he was supposed to put in the reimbursement request 3 meetings beforehand. He did it the meeting before. And so I saw a policy violation. And then I also asked them to change their policy because I don't think that the taxpayer should pay for partisan training. If everybody up on that dais of any political persuasion can't go to that training or seminar, then the taxpayer shouldn't pay it. It's more like candidate training.
Wait, this is in La Mesa?
This is the city of La Mesa.
So you look after their city council too?
That's the the rabbit hole.
Mr.
Yeah.
Schwartz.
Are you from La Mesa?
I have a P.O. box in La Mesa,
Okay.
and I do
I'm just
business
curious.
in La Mesa, and they get federal tax dollars, and I'm a federal
Well,
taxpayer.
so
So
there-
La Mesa opened themselves up.
We
La Mesa
have
did open.
to give her a weekly segment.
Yeah, really. So what? Seriously, but I guess my question is La Mesa the only other city you look after, or you look at other cities? Like, what was your interest
You
in La
don't
Mesa?
have many hours in the day.
Yeah, it's time consuming, but my issue is, I hate the word democracy being weaponized because it means so many things to different people, right?
Right.
But my issue is somebody in Lexington and Concord fought and died on that battlefield, and I'm not going to be asleep at the wheel and
Right.
hand that and let somebody take territory. We need to defend, and our Constitution is precious.
How long you been doing this?
For about now a little over a year.
So now they know you.
They do know me, and I call it lumberjack activism. So the issue, well, because when I first started, I was a Viking activist, meaning that like axe throwing, I just hurled tyrant bodily autonomy, and nothing really ever changed.
Nope.
And then once I started like looking at the rules and
There you
really
go.
finding what the chinks in the armor were, and I made a lumberjack looks at the tree, knows where to strike, makes that strike, and takes a tree down.
Good
And
for you.
I take a great delight that there's a set of 3 murals in the Board of Supervisors, and one is actually, ironically, somebody cutting a tree down. And I feel like that's a divine intervention, for lumberjack
You should wear
activism.
Levi's, a red and black plaid shirt, and a
Uh-huh.
lumberjack hat. When you come walking in, they go, "Oh, Jesus, she is."
No, I actually wear a shirt that says yay on one side and boo on the other because they won't let us clap. They've taken away that right. And that's what I'm talking about, that you can clap at the beginning for their proclamations that they put forth. But when it comes time that they say that clapping is actually disruptive and intimidating and blah, blah, blah.
Oh.
And so I've advocated a long time to try to get them to do responsive clapping as allowed, polite responsive clapping.
Yeah,
They
little-
won't even do that. Yeah.
Here- I'll tell you. Here's like golf claps. That do a little
Yeah, the
golf.
golf
No,
clap.
just regular clap. Like we can do it at the beginning of the meeting for their dog and pony show, for their proclamations.
Yeah.
If I like what a speaker says, then I should be able to clap.
There you go. So I'll tell you, one of the things
Unbelievable.
I think people would find surprising is Tara Lawson Raymer. She's the supervisor for like Coastal North.
Mhm.
I don't think people realize just how extreme and weird she is. And she's bizarre, and she has very extremist views. She has a very odd past. And I don't think I don't like Nathan at all. The guy's a jerk. He should be nowhere near power. I don't think people realize he's kind of a buffer between just how weird she is. I think he kind of tamps her down a little bit, not publicly, but I think and she's about to be the chair.
No, that's Nora. That's
Oh,
about to
Nora's
be
the
chair.
that's right.
Yeah.
But I think what I was thinking is she's going to probably be the chair for a year, and then Tara's going to be the chair possibly next because she's going to be up for re-election here.
Mhm.
So I'd say within the next 3 or 4 years or whatever, if they go by tradition, she's going to be the chair. And Nathan's so busy running for state senate. What I'm saying is, as much as we all rightfully hate Nathan, we should. He's very hateable. Tara's way worse fundamentally,
Yeah, she's
philosophically.
She's very much a progressive, and the thing is, though, I don't think she'll ever be chair because you actually have to show up and stay for all the meetings, and she I shouldn't say always because I don't like superlatives, but she frequently leaves early, she frequently arrives right late. she teleconferences or she misses the Wednesday meetings. So if somebody was like wanting to look at her just for job performance, I would say pay attention to what she shows up for and what she doesn't show up. My next is going to be a public records request into her attendance for all her subcommittees, because I have a feeling that as bad as her attendance record is at the main board, it's going to only be worse for her committee meetings. I know Sandag, she was frequently absent, and she was the assigned representative there.
I wonder what is she doing? That's her friggin' job, is to show up. Like, what is she up to?
I don't know. I have some, but I will not bring people's family into politics. So that, I respect that boundary. So,
Right.
but that could be an issue.
Kind of family issue?
An excuse anyway.
Right, well.
So.
Well, okay, so we ran long because you're such a great guest. So here's what we're gonna do. We got to go to a break again, but then we're gonna come back and talk about the listening session.
She has to start coming in
All the
at
time.
least once a month.
There you go.
I mean, because your information. Where's your other voice?
I have a website, political911.com.
You have a lot of people on it?
Yeah, probably not. I don't really keep track of the boundaries.
We need to help you.
You do
because
need to
you
help.
cannot do this on your own.
No, I need.
And Michael doesn't do anything during the week. So he could be your driver.
He's at the range.
But if we dress him up like a lumberjack, just think how
That's
he
what I
would
do
look.
during the week. I dress up like a
like a lumberjack. Is there a better tool that empowers a woman to defend against an attacker that's 100 pounds bigger? Well, that's why it's so important for women to learn how to defend themselves with the most effective self-defense tool ever invented. For women, led by women, the Not Me program is designed to help with training, purchasing a gun, and getting a concealed carry permit. And guess what? It's free. To sign up, go to notmesd.org. The program is also available in Orange County and Inland Empire. Get help today. notmesd.org. All right.
So we're talking to Mary. Fantastic job, Mary. I really, truly, we were talking to you off air, and I can't tell you how much we're all appreciative and respect the work that you do. Thank you very, very much. So you went to the listening session. Had you heard about it? Do you remember when they talked about it on the dais?
Yeah, so it was a June 14th meeting is when they did that. That's the same meeting where they snuck in at the last minute with the amendment for distributors, marketers, and sellers.
Yep, remember
and
that.
This was part of this process, and I mentioned it in my comments, but I'm very familiar with how they operate. They call something a crisis, and then they make a working group or a commission, and usually with stakeholders of their choosing. And I think it's very interesting because for this group, if you look at the stakeholders, there's probably 8 or 10 different groups on here, but I don't see anything that's a pro 2A or gun rights and the other thing, they don't keep DGU, defensive gun use statistics.
Nope.
So tell both sides of the story. The other thing I notice how they operate is how they word the agenda item. So they titled it Stemming the Tide of Gun Violence. So if you are in opposition, you're really pro 2 rights. But if you're in opposition, you're against stemming gun violence.
Yeah.
And so it's like a loaded question. Do you still beat your wife, right?
They know how to write the right.
They absolutely do, but that's part of the strategy. Yeah.
What did you think of the listening session?
I thought it was, very going through the motions. And so I don't know if you're familiar with, there's a Potemkin village, and it's named after a Russian or Crimean officer who was trying to impress Catherine the Great. And so he would set up, she was going down the Dnieper River in the Crimean region and Ukraine. And she ended up going on a barge, and every day he would set up this false village. This is how the story goes. And it was like a storefront, like a Hollywood set. And so you look up there and it looks, and you would have actors, playing villagers. And then the barge would go downstream and dock for the night, and they would disassemble the village and take it further down and, recreate a new village to make it look like a thriving region. And so Potemkin, I call it Potemkin politics. It's a word that means that it's creating something more than it really is.
Interesting.
And so I look at Potemkin politics for democracy. They're giving us this illusion that we're involved. And by that, we let you speak publicly beforehand. By the time we're speaking at the meeting, they've already decided. Yeah, absolutely. So they throw us breadcrumbs of democracy, crumbs that, here, see, we're following the rules. And it's like, but you're not really. You're just giving the appearance of democracy.
And I would change that Potemkin thing to Blazing Saddles. Because they had facade, the same thing. and they'll probably get that. That is just, well, I think we all know this goes on, but we just haven't brought it to the surface.
No, we haven't brought it to the surface, and that's the thing. They usually will follow the rules to some degree, and then they waver a little bit and see if anybody notices.
Yeah.
And then if somebody notices, that's why. Okay,
They
then
pull
they get
back
back in
in.
line. Exactly, they pull back and then let it go and
So
see.
you're the traffic cop.
I am the traffic cop, the watchdog. I call myself now the constitutional referee because my husband says when people throw the BS flag. So like I'm going to throw the flag that you're not following the rules.
Wouldn't that be something if you took it to a meeting and had a BS flag?
I've actually thought about taking a little customer service bell because they all sit there. I shouldn't say all of them, most of them stare down at their phones the whole time. And this is supposed to be when we the people speak, right? And they stare down at their phones.
Bang!
And say, ding! Customer service.
Or better yet, attention, excuse me, put your phones down.
I got to tell you, that is one thing. The five prior, Ron Roberts and all those guys, gave you their undivided attention.
Right.
When you were up there talking.
Because they didn't have cell phones.
Well, yeah, that's true.
But
Maybe that's
even
why.
so,
Maybe that's the only reason.
That's the only reason.
Because I go into other chambers, even Sandag is very respectful. La Mesa I was just at, they all give you their undivided attention. And here's a little activist tip is if somebody does something positive, acknowledge it and thank them for it. So I always start out, thank you for, your respectful paying attention. And the city of San Diego is pretty good, but the board of supervisors, they are the most discourteous.
What would you do, or what would they do if you say, excuse me, before I start, could you please all put your phones down?
I've done that many times, and they continue to. And Tara is the worst.
And they just ignore you.
Nora's not. So the good thing about Nora becoming the chairperson now is that she's going to have to pay attention the whole meeting.
Tara is or Nora is?
I'm sorry, Nora.
Nora's gonna have to pay
Nora's going to have to pay.
You know what I call people who are fans of Tara?
What?
Like people that follow her, got her elected. Terrorists.
Oh.
Right.
You missed your bada bing.
I do the bada bing.
They're terrorists.
Yeah.
So the in the listening session, you were. How do you think it went as far as listening sessions? Do you as predicted, or what do you think?
I think it went as predicted. As I was happy with the turnout, so a lot of kudos for that, for rallying the troops and getting people activated to show up. And I am curious though how it will play out. What comments actually will make it into the report, and what is the ratio of those comments, right? And then the other issue with what I've found, they use this data-driven approach. And so as I've started researching, I'm thinking like, well, in the tobacco industry, there was a huge thing where they would create these organizations to come up with research that fit their narrative. So I'm kind of curious now that does that conflict of interest for industry-related research carry over to government fund research?
I've only done a little bit of research on the consulting firm that they used, but it was crystal clear that it was extremely biased. And you could even see it. The lady that was passing around the microphone and letting people speak, there were literally 6 anti-gun people to like 100 pro, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
And when the 6 were speaking, she's nodding her head, in a great kind of subconscious. I don't even think she realized it, but she's kind of, and anybody that disagreed, if they go off the obvious narrative that they were trying to push, she's kind of just, it was very obvious. Very obvious.
That's probably why they're going to do an audio record instead of the video record, right? To show these real because body language is powerful, and people don't realize the subconscious decisions like that.
And there was all 6. There was a very diverse group of people. And right before the show, I actually interviewed a guy who's a grief counselor, and we met him at Rich met him at one of the. I interviewed him for a Magnum episode that'll be out in about a week or two. And Rich met him at one of the listening sessions. He's a grief counselor, came from, bad neighborhood. He's helping his neighborhood. He's, really great guy. Pro-gun. He's a gun owner, pro-Second Amendment. And I don't – the thing that we talked about was if they hadn't made this thing, whatever they're trying to accomplish, they decided to call it gun violence, which we think is because they'll get some grants. Like that'll lead to money, people, that'll give them money for this. But the problem they're trying to solve, the crime problem they're trying to solve, they could get a lot more support. I mean, they could get 80-90% of people out there to support what they're trying to do if they'd stop with the buzzwords like gun violence and stop being, these divisive, tactics that they're using, which is, really
That's for the left.
It's
That's
really
for their
well, everybody, left, right, up, down, they all do. Oh, for them, they're like, yeah. Well, it is. No, you're absolutely right. It's for their supporters. And you should have seen some of the folks that showed up on our behalf were familiar. They knew the 6 anti-gun folks. And you should have seen the look on their face like, oh, wait a minute. They're speaking, against, gun bans. It was very, very interesting. I really do. It'll be very interesting to see what their summary is. They're going to do like a summary in January, February, right? And then they're going to make some.
Yeah, there's a timeline, and that's the thing. Like it's this dynamic process that gives the appearance of listening and taking into concerns from all sides, but it's very one-sided. But
how often do they do it? The listening groups.
I've never actually seen a listening session like this, and that's why I thought it was interesting the way they even
Okay, so this is the last one, then, most likely.
This was the last.
Yes.
Yeah, because they won't do this again.
Well, no. You mean listening sessions in general, or just on this subject?
Well, even on this subject or in general.
Yeah, so they had 6 of them, and the 6th one was last week, so they won't have any more for this.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Do you think that they will do this again next year?
No.
Well, maybe on future. I've seen them do. They usually call them town halls.
Yeah, but see, they're starting to fill up with people that are getting involved, and they don't want that.
Maybe we'll see. I don't know, but they the concept I think is something that they'll do. There's actually there's a guy named Daniel Polk who's a part of it, and he actually encouraged people to reach out to him. If people basically, you can still give feedback. So if you didn't want to give information publicly, this guy Daniel Polk will actually take your feedback. We'll see if we can get his information out there. The email for him is on. Hang on one second here.
Can't. We're talking radio. No dead air.
Yep. Okay. We'll keep going on. Keep talking.
Okay, I'll say something real quick. One thing I will tell your listeners: whenever you are corresponding with an agency or government, you always or probably even for this, make sure you're only putting what is comfortable being displayed online. So a lot of times those fields, they'll ask for your phone number, your address. You don't have to fill those out, or live at 1234 Main Street like I do. And
I live there too.
Yeah. So the whole point is, don't play their game. Don't give up your data. It will become published online most likely,
right?
Or at least subpoenable or through a public records, not even subpoena. Somebody asks for it and they get your info.
So this guy, Daniel Polk, we'll get his information out. Go to gunownersradio.com, sign up for the newsletter. Go to San Diego County Gunowners.com, sign up for our newsletter. If you're a member, you're going to get this information automatically. OrangeCountyGunOwners.com, Inland Empire Gunowners.com. All 4 of these organizations are going to send out Mr. Polk's email so we can flood them with real suggestions. One of the real suggestions that I'm going to push for is if you go to the county for a restraining order, that you get fast-tracked to get a CCW. That's a real preventative measure for gun violence, right? Absolutely. So anyway,
I like that.
Yeah, right. So we're gonna see if we can take this negative, turn it into a positive.
Well,
Mary, thank you for everything you're doing.
Oh, absolutely.
Awesome.
All right, folks, this is Gun Owners Radio. Hey, a self-defense event happens in seconds. In the time it takes to listen to this commercial, your life could change forever. I pray you're never forced to shoot in self-defense. But if you must be ready. That's why the USCCA exists, because every responsibly armed American should have the training and education to navigate a self-defense situation. And should you ever need it, the 24/7 critical response team is right there for you. To discover more about the USCCA, visit uscca.com/GOR. Act now, because the life you save could be your own. uscca.com/GOR.
Awesome. All right, everybody's favorite segment.
Stump
My nephew. Sam is my nephew, Sam the Gunman, and we found out a few years ago this guy's really good at gun trivia. So,
have you heard this guy, Mary?
No.
You're in for it.
He's awesome. He's how old is he?
I think it's like 23.
Going on 73.
He's like
Right.
and he's been doing this like 4 or 5 years. So he's been doing this since like 19. People send in a question. He doesn't know the question in advance. and we read it to him on the air, and he gets it right like 9 out of 10 times.
Okay.
Gives us a
Is there
whole
a prize?
Yeah, oh yeah, there's a prize. If you're a good segue. If you send in a question, we use it on the air, we'll send you a hat or a shirt. If you actually stump my nephew, you'll get a special prize. Now in 2023, there are 3 gun proms going on. So the special prize may be a free ticket to one of the gun proms, depending on where you are, what you want. But we'll give you a special gift. Fortunately, I don't really have to have a lot of special gifts ready because no one stumps them. It's pretty nice. So, all right, Sam, you there?
Yeah, how are you guys?
Good. First question. How old are you?
23, last I checked.
All right, 23. Yeah. Did you get that right, Alicia?
Yeah.
All right.
But
you
he's
get a hat or a shirt, though.
He's going on 76. I don't care what anybody says.
All right, we're gonna have Mary. You have the honor of asking him the question there. Alicia will show you how to do that.
Okay.
All right.
Frederick from Riverside wants to know what feature makes the Boberg XR9-S unique.
Frederick from beautiful Riverside. Well, it might be beautiful. I don't know. I don't know what it looks like.
Beautiful.
Okay. Frederick from beautiful Riverside, California. Thanks very much for writing in. Good question. The Boberg series of pistols, they had the XR9S and the XR45S, and now they're sold as the Bond Arms Bullpup because Bond Arms acquired them, is a pistol with a very unique feeding system. It feeds kind of like a belt-fed machine gun. So whereas with most pistols, you have the slide as it's traveling forward, it pushes the round forward out of the magazine, up the feed ramp, and into the chamber. With the Boberg pistols, it worked, again, like a belt-fed machine gun with a pull feed system. As the slide was traveling to the rear at the beginning of its cycle, it would pull the fresh round out of the magazine, eject the spent casing, and then push the next round up into the chamber. And what this achieved is the chamber could be directly over the magazine, which saves you 1 cartridge length in terms of space, so you can have the same length barrel in a shorter package.
I'm sorry, that's absolutely not right. The feature that makes the Boberg XR9S unique is that it had a compass in the stock in this thing, which tells time. So,
in other words, you were right.
I was waiting for the chicken to drop down if he would have said the magic word twin clawed lifting linkage.
I know. Okay, so
nah, he knew if he did that, it'd be over our heads, and it would be over.
So you got it right. Here, I'm going to read. It's a little bit, but here's what the answer provided is. The XR9S is a rotating barrel, locked breech, semi-automatic pistol chambered in 9mm, feeding from a detachable 7-round magazine. The Boberg sets itself apart from other pocket pistols, not simply due to its impressively minuscule size, but also its strange operating method and magazine construction. First bullets are fed nose first into the magazine. When the slide comes back, a twin-clawed lifting linkage grabs the rim of the top cartridge in the magazine and yanks it violently rearward before pushing it forward into the chamber. With this design, the trigger is forward of the chamber and considered a bullpup pistol with a longer barrel that would be expected for such a pistol. So you got it. You got it right. I don't know why you know that, but you know that. I don't know why you know any of this stuff, but you know all of it. Congratulations.
Were you not impressed?
I was impressed.
Yeah. It's amazing. You didn't know that, Mary?
I'm going to go and ask my husband. He's a gun expert, so that'll be he doesn't know there's a test coming his way.
Yeah, see what he knows about the old Boberg XR9.
Can I keep the answer, though? Because I won't remember that.
You just keep the whole paperwork. Put that in your file.
Congratulations, Sam. Fantastic job.
Have you ever seen one, Sam?
I have not seen one in person. They made a big splash at SHOT Show several years ago, but weren't manufactured in really huge numbers, I don't think. They didn't come out with that many new models.
I just looked this thing up. It's pretty wild. The muzzle doesn't go much beyond the trigger guard. Take a look. It's basically the front end portion of your trigger guard. That's the front end muzzle.
And you wouldn't think that it would do everything that he said it would do in that configuration.
No. It's interesting.
The old Boberg.
Looks like an armored tank.
Yeah.
It does. Looks pretty cool.
And everything's inside.
So tell us about your article that you wrote that came out this week on San Diego County gun owners, Orange County gun owners, and Inland Empire gun owners.
Talk us in to go read it.
There you go.
So I write these out of order, and I don't remember which one I posted. Was this the? This was the one about giving gifts, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay. So I wrote an article based on my personal experiences working behind the counter at a gun shop for about 3.5 years now, a little more than that. About the original title was "Guns Make Poor Gifts," and it was about sort of why you shouldn't give someone a firearm as a gift. But really what it is an instruction guide as to how you should go about doing that if you want to. And I'm not going to go into the whole thing because there's an article. If you want to know, just go read it.
There you go. Yeah.
But what I talk about is, so if you have a loved one, usually, I hate to stereotype, but it's usually a man buying for a wife or a daughter or a girlfriend. And if you're in that position and you want to buy your family member who's new to shooting a handgun as a gift, because that's usually what it is, these are the steps you need to go through. Don't just buy a random handgun that you think would be good for a woman and then be disappointed when she can't handle it well or doesn't like it or whatever.
Without a shadow of a doubt.
It was perfect timing too, right? Right before
Yeah.
Christmas.
And so many many men would do that.
And then they send their wives to work with me to fix it.
Exactly.
How many times do you have to face that?
A lot.
Yeah.
A lot. There's a lot of buyer's remorse, regret.
I'll be the
disappointment.
first to admit I did it.
I know.
And it's a rule I never break because I tell people, men, never buy your wife or girlfriend a car.
There's a famous episode of The Simpsons where Homer bought Marge a bowling ball for her birthday, and she was so mad. She said, "You bought this for you. You didn't buy it for me." He said, "No, I didn't." Well, he actually had it etched.
Sized.
No,
Etched.
he had Homer written on it because he anticipated she was going to give it back. So a good buddy of mine buys his wife a shotgun, a super nice Benelli, and she's like, "I don't want this," and gives it to him. And so we nicknamed it. We now call it the Homer.
Well, it's
we
no
call it
different.
Homer. I was like, "Did you actually write Homer on it?" He goes, "I swear, I was being sincere. I really wanted her to have it."
A buddy of mine bought his wife an $80,000 Durango SRT when they first came out.
Yeah.
All black interior, and I was there when he handed her the keys.
Yeah.
He said, "I don't want this.
No.
I'm not driving this thing." Gave him the keys back.
Yoink.
So now he
It
drove.
worked.
Well, there might be something. No, she was not a happy camper. I had a lot
No,
of
but
money.
he kept it right.
I don't. Yeah, I think he's tried to, but I think she tried to him because I think she ended up with a Tesla.
I think it's harder the other way around. Ladies, do you ever get anything for your husband that's actually for you?
No.
No.
Oh no,
It's harder the
I
other way
actually
around.
put some thought into it and consideration.
Yeah, their DNA doesn't
like what?
that way.
Like what could? I don't even know what it could be. Like, here's a nice negligee for you, hon. No.
Well, whenever I buy
Okay.
anything gun related, I always check with him first. So we just ordered a Picatinny rail.
Nice.
Okay, yeah. So
But if you were going to buy your husband a tool, like a drill or a skill saw or something like that,
I would never just
No, you
hunt
would-
and guess. I
no,
would-
because you know you're going to. My wife, she would go with the cheapest.
Mhm.
Okay, and that's not going to fly.
No.
You know, the other thing though that Alicia brings up actually a really good point. I firmly believe that a lot of people are probably I'm going to just throw this out there. Like 90% of things that people don't like about this or that gun can be fixed with a little bit of training.
Mhm.
It's like 90%.
I agree.
So
I
if
agree.
you
I
do,
agree.
right, Sam. So if you do find yourself in a situation where someone does something horrible, like gets you a gun you didn't exactly want,
What's to do something horrible like that for me?
I know, right? Just train with it, and I'll,
Do you
and
charge extra for stupidity?
Not yet. That's a good
yeah.
idea, though.
stupidity
Yeah.
charge,
A
little,
tax?
little
A
add-on.
stupid tax?
Well, I just say, sir, I'll be more than happy to help you and your wife.
2 minutes.
This will cost you another $20.
Awesome job, Sam. I love
Yeah.
the article. Thank you so much.
Well, thanks for everyone for reading it. I'm hoping to get some more engagement. We don't really get people commenting on the articles, so I would love for there to be some discussion underneath, so I know how people are receiving it, what people think.
Okay. And you're going to be on Dave and I and possibly Alicia. We're going to be here on Christmas next week, so you're going to join us on the Christmas show, right?
Yep. Yeah.
All right.
I'll try and come up with some talking points for you.
All right.
We might,
Excellent.
well, since we're not going to have anybody else other than Mike, Alicia, and I, we could probably give him some more airtime.
I told him. I said, yeah, come up with something interesting. We'll get you on the air.
Yeah, fly out, come on in.
There you go. Fly out. That's good.
You know, like he's got an airplane.
That's true.
Come on.
He'd have to
Not
leave
wrong.
like right now, but he could.
Well, that's true too.
All right, Sam. Thanks a lot, bud.
All right, buddy.
Thanks for having me on. Good night, everyone.
Oh, this is funny. His mom sent me a text.
Uh-oh.
You should have seen the look on his face when you said he was wrong. He was incredulous. Mission accomplished.
Did she send the picture?
I was shocked you even did that.